Hello, folks. Welcome back to another great installment. We haven't done this in a long time. So, welcome back to ARS Rewind, formerly ARS 45 Rewind, but this is the show that goes back into anime's past to understand a little bit more about the present, see what the future holds as it relates to all things fun. I am one of your hosts, Founders Foundry. I am Chris, and alongside me is ARS standing general at the helm, Adam.
What's good, folks?
How's it been going, Adam?
Pretty good. Went down to Baltimore Comic Con today.
Ooh,
Checked out some neat stuff. Uh, Getting ready for Halloween.
quite the time. That's right. As we are recording here, um, the spooky season is here, and I think this particular title we're reflecting on um, this installment fits the tone perfectly, the occasion. And that title, the title we're talking about, is Blood Last Vampire, um, made in 2000 by Production IG. Um, so, what do you know about this one? Have you seen this one before? Or, you know,
Yes, I actually bought this on VHS when it came out. So I was always a big Production IG fan. So hence they were working on a new original project. I was super stoked to see what they did with it, and I gotta say, Bloodless Vampire is one of my favorite kind of horror anime.
it's really something. Um, it's when you look at where horror genre and especially for anime has gone. Um, Look at something like this as like a sort of early settler in a way, or even like at the time that it came out, it was considered progression step compared to the things that came before it, like Vampire Hunter D and stuff like that.
Well, so some just as a general rule, horror and anime go together, but it's not always a comfortable fit. Like
Mm.
some things simply don't work well in anime as a medium, like and horror is kind of one of those things. Not that you can't achieve great horror in anime. It's just it's really difficult. So the greater preponderance of what we would call horror anime in, I guess, common parlance would be things like Cheeky or Requiem from the Darkness. And horror works like really well as manga. You know, contrast
Right.
Juji Ito's manga from the anime of the same, and you kind of see where I'm coming from.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
sometimes you get the mood right and you get lightning in a bottle, kind of like Bloodless Vampire.
Right. I definitely agree with you on that as far as matters go. For a manga to get adapted to anime form, especially for the genre, like you mentioned Junji Ito's material, or even stuff like Drifting Classroom or things of that sort can usually make that if you capture that tone well. Um, you know, especially if you Just thinking about Drifting Classroom, that one's pretty gnarly itself. But to do an original title to boot, like it's not based on anything. It's its own element, and it works. Production IG has uh, always been very sharp about that. Of course, like a lot of people, Production IG wise for me goes back to two things. Um, Ghost in the Shell on Saturday anime on Sci-Fi Channel, and remember the goodness the this music video from a long time ago. I believe was the band was I think KMFE. They're a band that they're featured in the Mortal Kombat soundtrack,
Oh.
the live action. Um, they had a music video that featured the Pat Labor movie footage.
Okay.
It was Jukes, Joyce, Jezebels. That was the song. It was the music video for that one, and they just kind of meshed it in. So that's been my experience, my early exposure to production IG. As it relates to Blood the Last Vampire, I saw it actually on cable television, and this was around the time where the Toonami era was very much. This was the golden age for it, but anime was also starting to see um, its influence in terms of overall cable television. See it on something like Showtime Beyond or Action Channel or Stars, and I caught Blood: The Last Vampire, I believe on Stars,
Mm.
and was very impressed with it, and I just had to buy it. And at that point, uh, DVDs were just starting to come out,
Yeah.
so
I'm I'm actually sitting here looking at my VHS copy. Really gotta really gotta upgrade that.
yeah, like for the review, I
Yeah, we watched
upgrade
your copy.
right. You know the import copy from Aniplex, which features the dub and the English dub and Japanese audio track and all the extras. But unless you're actually looking for it, you're not going to find this on Right Stuff. You're not going to find it on Amazon unless you know what you're looking for. You find really probably the out of print and probably very expensive Blu-ray copy that Manga Entertainment released before Manga Entertainment got merged into that whole business brouhaha. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a story for another time. But for this particular retro, let's we talked a little bit about the background of it, just a bit of it. What was the world like uh, for Blood the Last Vampire before, as it was coming out? Because, I mean, we're talking 2000, again, new
So
millennium, 21st century.
we were just starting to get the DigiPaint shows. So now I'm thinking about it, I can only imagine what Bud would have been like if it had all been hand drawn. It probably been dope. But this was a very early DigiPaint show.
Early Digipaint like movie, but the budget was very noticeable.
Higher.
Unlike, yeah, like, I mean, you can see certainly like that mix when it comes to certain objects in this film, but
Mm.
the 2D work is very good. Like the backgrounds are great, the lighting is really good, and the pacing is spot on. And mind you, this is a 45-minute movie.
Yep, it is very tight. Although it still manages to capture the vibe they were going for pretty early. Like, not a lot of fat on this thing. Very This is what's going on. This is what it is.
Very much so. With that said, um, Blood the Last Vampire was coming into um, a space where, goodness, a space where Buffy the Vampire Slayer was still on TV in America
Yeah.
when this came out. Um, Resident Evil was still in the tank control
Oh,
period of its time.
oh
PlayStation
yeah.
1.
So we had stuff like Forever Night.
Right. Stuff like that. Legacy of Kane. Like we there was a lot of stuff.
So
For,
this was a interesting take on vampire fiction. Also, one of the now that I'm really thinking about it, one of the first things I can recall off the top of my head that really did not elegant, beautiful vampires, but hideous, monstrous ones.
it's true. Yeah, yeah. Because prior to this, we talked about Vampire Hunter D and um, and Vampire Princess Miyu. Remember the OVA from the '90s. Um, so this is one of the few times where we get hideous creature, hideous vampire creatures,
Right.
and in this form. So with that said, um, and just to round out this background here, this project was this came about as a result of really Production IG's president at the time, Mitsuhisa Ishikawa, um, yearning to do something new, something different, and it was a combination of Ishikawa and Mamoru Oshii that came together, and Oshii, after talking to Ishikawa, and for those keeping track, Mamoru Oshii, a legend in the business,
Yeah, the
or
director of Ghost in the Shell.
yes, Ghost in the Shell, Pat Labor, a lot of stuff.
Um,
Oh,
you
yes,
know,
that's
you
right.
did wrong.
That's right. Yes, Risa Yatsura. He did the second Lum movie. Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. So definitely someone you want to talk to for a project. So Mamoru Oshii took that conversation and he you know created a series of lectures to teach his the new up and coming students underneath him, um, and kind of get feedback from them and to kind of get an element of those who want to take on something new. And he would get submissions from uh, Kinji Kamiyama and Junichi Fujisaku, who both of them would become stellar for not just this project, but looking at anime as a whole, especially Kamiyama for his longevity with Production IG and various projects. This was his first screenplay. And for Junichi Fujisaku, this would be the beginning of a long time element with being a novelist and just really um, as we go about this review, you'll see how much longevity Fujisaku has with this this particular property. So those two spaced out submissions and you know it became just the basis was, hey, a girl in a sailor suit building a sword, and of course if you look at history of anime, not too short of that.
No, plenty of
Not
that.
a shortage, not a shortage of that. And with that said, the person poised to direct this is would be Hiroyuki Kita Kubo, who known for Rojin Z, known for Golden Boy. So this is know, quite a variety, and especially coming into this kind of project. Um, with that said, we've got most of our players here, and there's others here. Um, we'll go about talking about them as we go through this retro. That said, let's crack this open. Um, where do we start in this foray of terror?
So I guess we should establish the setting. Uh, Blood the Last Vampire takes place in 1960. I want to say 66.
Yes,
Um, on a
1966.
on an Air Force base in Japan.
Yep, Yokota Air Force Base.
So we start off in the subway, where a poor, overworked salaryman maybe had a few too many with the boss and everybody else is trying to make it home. He's sitting on the train, and there's this creepy looking girl staring daggers at him.
Oh yeah, like the train is well lit, and they're the only two in the car at this point. And this is after like the early seconds of this movie with the establishing shot of the rotary phone ringing,
Right.
and we cut into this subway, and we cut to this mysterious girl going on board, and just the staring daggers at this. And the salary man's pretty drunk.
Right.
He looks, yeah, it looks like he had a hard day. It looks like he just got back. He looked like he just got busy with a 13-hour day, and he's just out. And she's just glaring as the train is just barreling down track here. Um, and while this is happening, like the credits are popping in between. You got the black and like crimson credits here, and from there, the salary man
Salary
looks up.
man is like, you know what? Like
He looks
that
up.
little girl, she ain't right. So I'm going to go ahead and go to another car.
Yes, that's after the lights start going out. The lights start going. He looks up like, yeah, I'm gonna leave. Then the lights start flickering. They go out. She charges at him the moment the lights go out, and his face is just like, yeah, I need to leave now. So you see this great shot of this girl running towards him, and he's got this terrified look. He's trying to get out of the car and can't. And we get this fluid motion of her. Looks like she's been carrying something like under her arm, like an umbrella or something, and it turns out to be a sword. She draws the sword. He can't
And
get it.
so this salary man is stuck between a rock and a tire,
Right.
and gets got real good.
That's how we open.
So
That's how we open this movie. He gets got. And then the title card hits.
it's
Title card hits. From there, great way to start a movie. You know, taking out salarymen. That's how you get down. That's how you let us know you're about business. Um,
now one neat thing about how this show was brought to us is the sections where folks would be speaking Japanese are automatically subtitled, and the sections where people who would be speaking English are already in English. The delivery, surprisingly, well, it's all grammatically correct wouldn't say the acting is stellar.
Well, I would say the acting is, for certain characters,
Certain characters.
it's it's expected. For others, there is a surprising element of, like, sort of like nonchalance,
Yeah.
or deadpan. And I'm not sure if that was the intent across that aisle, but I will say, in the particular parts of this film, um when it comes to, like, some of the more critical spots of it, where it has to deliver,
Yeah.
or where you need some emotion, you will hear it. It will come up. But I will say that that there is some element of melancholy, intentional or otherwise, noted uh, in the uh, performances here. But in that, we still have some very noted performers throughout this movie. We'll get to them in time as well. That said, we cut over to Poltergeist. Tried to claim my soul in the of that technical difficulty. I apologize. Um, Spooktacular season. Hi, Adam.
Yep. One of my
Yeah.
favorite times of the year.
So, we get our introduction to Saya, who is apparently an operative in going after what seems to be not just salary men. She's not going after just random salary men. Uh, as we would go to discover with the introduction of two,
David and Lewis.
yes, two U.S.
Agents of the Red Shield.
Right, U.S. government, agency that is tasked with going after what they call the chiropterids, or chiropterids.
Properties.
Um, right. So, um, they're tasked with going after these truly hideous creatures. But Lewis goes in to the train only to see
A
that, hey,
very dead salary man and not a horrifying bat monster.
right, he's got some concerns about that, and he makes it very clear that, hey, this is a human corpse in here. And David, who is the lead operative, he tells him, just, hey, it hasn't changed. Be
Fat
quiet.
kid. Yeah.
Right, right.
And
While
Lewis
he,
like, nah, homie, that's just some guy. She just killed some guy. And then we gotta figure out how to clean up the fact that she just murdered this random guy.
and this is in between Aya voicing her own in her, you know, very, like, cold tone, like, hey, my sword is dull. It's not coming out the sheath like it should. You need to give me a new one. And in between the mission brief, apparently, that is updated, that this is going on. So there's a cross conversation of things, and Lewis just makes it clear, like, hey, this is bad. Like, she killed somebody, and David is just trying to keep things calm about it. And Lewis makes, apparently, a mistake here, when David tells him, "Hey, just
Mentions
calm down," and he says the J word. Lewis says the one word
that
that,
apparently will instantaneously piss Saya off. Jesus.
yes. So the
And we're not
minute,
sure why,
right,
but Well, no, we're not sure why.
We
It's
know
not
what.
really revealed in the movie why, but if you ever go and read the manga, they do kind of get into it a little bit.
Right. But it's enough for Saya to.
Brad was a large adult man by his face and yoke him up.
I mean, she gave him literally she gave him the claw treatment. I believe the Von Erich family would be proud of this. This is some good claw work here because she just
Right.
grabs him by the face and this
So here
is
we get our first hint that there's something. Well, not our first hint, but there's something not quite right about this young girl. Because I don't care how angry she is, she shouldn't be able to hoist a grown man by his face.
right. And you see uh, David's concern for
The
the
mission
situation. Yes, the mission mainly. Yes, Lewis, sure, but mostly the mission. As David, who looks kind of like Bateau,
from
Ghost in
Ghost
the
of
Shell,
Solia
as he is
has
explaining.
to Sire, we're gonna get you a new sword. We know where the rest of them are. Please, please don't kill Lewis.
Right. So we believe that the chiropterids have infiltrated, the
Uh,
public, and you got to go after them. And here's your brief. She takes the brief, reads it. Oh, this is before she hemmed up Lewis. So she takes the brief after all that, tosses it in the trash, makes her way, doing the thing, and get hints after Lewis is getting his face off the
yeah,
floor.
right.
After he's picking his face off the floor, David has to remind him in a way like, "Hey, look, do not make her mad. Don't do that again." As look, far as we know, he's the only
The
remaining original.
and we can't actually stop her from killing you. So keep that in mind.
Right. Of course, Lewis is like the rest of us and going like, original what? So there's already a hint of mystery in this film. The way that it approaches matters. Um, just in this intro here was good because watching it in my youth, it kept me asking questions. I wanted to keep watching to see what happened. So go from there to apparently a very detailed,
Very, very dead prostitute.
very dead prostitute. Very much a scene out of CSI or Law and Order. So very dead hooker in the bathtub, slit wrists, and
So her colleagues, I like to call them ladies of negotiable affection.
yes, or providers. I think they're called. I think they would call them providers these days. I think
Yeah,
so.
I like my term better. Um, and they're discussing why the new girl killed herself. Seems kind of odd when you think about it.
Right, amongst them, you have your the bartender. You have the fellow colleagues. One of them is a
Like
drag
queen,
queen. Yes. And
no outside smoking, shooting the shit.
right, very realistic in their
Yeah,
dialogue as well about it, saying, hey, maybe she told
got
herself
the
because she
clap.
had the clap. Then you should expect that if you're dealing with Americans, if you're messing with American soldiers, all that. Like, that's
So,
the very realistic dialogue.
and you're not really sure what this has to do with the horrible monsters that Sai is supposed to be hunting. But I guess we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Yes,
Foreshadowing.
yeah. This is all foreshadowing um, as it goes along. So of course we see a lovely uh, transition. We had talked about the Air Force base earlier. So the officers on the scene from the crime from the suicide looked up, see a jet, rather a plane, huge plane flying overhead, and we cross into the more into the daytime, and we're here in Yokota base,
Air Force Base.
Air Force base, and we see Saya, and she's dressed. We saw her in like her
Long earlier. Yeah.
the long coat and everything from the previous night. And here we see her in a school uniform for the time and everything. It seems like she's got the black school uniform, long skirt and everything. Um, she's got the it looks like she's got the sword or umbrella. What it looks like underneath there, and she's over at an antique gift shop. This little stop here, and
Have a look at this pawn shop. Maybe she's interested in that sword in the window.
yes, yes, and it's just as she's taking interest in that in the sword, the window, the old shopkeeper looks over to catch a glimpse of her as she walks away, and you know, we get the the camera zooms out and overhead, and we see the Air Force base, everything, and we see some the the CG with the buildings of the cars passing through.
Mhm.
So this is and then, like I said, this was DigiPaint era,
And very early.
early. Like this is 2000, so I have to take some of that for what it's worth. Um, the the the
I'm saying
2D,
for the time it seemed amazing.
yeah, for the time it was amazing. It was innovative, very innovative. Because if you look at animation as a whole at that point, there have been like a progressive step for 3D, and for American material, whether it was stuff like Beast Wars
Yeah.
or Reboot that was on Konami. You
Which
know,
this is being honest, both were shows that really got by on their writing and not so much their visuals.
this is true, but the visuals were they were risky, but they were very different for the time, and you could see where there was like the future in this if someone can really perfect that CG style element. And I think for digital, Blood has a hand in its right as far as like oh, this feature utilizes the 3D as well to that to mesh it with matters to make a experience here that we are um, retroing now actually. That said, we are introduced to the nurse character
Yeah.
here. Like she this is nice nurse here, and she's pretty much she drives in to the high school that's on the base, and this nurse here, Caroline, I think that's her. I think that's the name that's given in the credits. We just always called her. I think we've called her just affectionately the nurse. That's just it. We just call her affectionately the nurse. And so this is where the film like utilizes that 45 minutes that we talked about because this is where like it get the intro between Aya and the nurse, and the nurse is just the nicest lady,
Hmm.
just trying to talk to
Mostly,
her.
mostly because Saya is so unbelievably curt and rude to people that it seems a complete wonder that the Red Shield thought it was a good idea to send her undercover anywhere where she was going to have to talk to people.
It's true because when the nurse when Makiko, that's her name, Makiko Caroline Asano, when she tries to approach and have a conversation with her, like, "Hey, you're new here, aren't you Japanese?" And Aya just looks at her, and that stare that she gives, like that,
Like she said to that poor salary man.
right, and turns around and walks away, tries to walk away, but then she stops a second time. She does ask, she does carry a brief conversation. Well, really just a question. Hey, where's the principal's office? And that's pretty much the length of it. And it's here, like you said, where we get the element of the Saya's mission here. Um, yes. So to put Saya in this spot is a wild deal, just to have her as a student here at the school, an undercover student at the school, the base, and that's to weed out the
corruptors that supposedly hiding here.
right.
We then meet two students.
Oh yes, we meet the two students you want to make note of here, and that's Sharon and Linda. Yes. Now that's after we met the headmaster of this school here, and
Now, the headmaster, in traditional bureaucrat form, really, really wants this Halloween party to go off without a hitch.
there's a Halloween.
It's Halloween.
Right, has to happen because the reason why it has to happen
is there's been suicides on the base at the school, and he figures the kids will take their mind off of their friends suddenly turning up dead if they have a nice Halloween party. So he completely dismisses the nurses. Hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. You know what, with the kids dying and all that.
right.
And he goes, look, man, put on some spooky music, put on some costumes, kids will be fine. So Sai returns to class and meets her classmates.
Yes, and this is where start to see, okay, the red guard. So the red. This is what the red shield. Pardon me. The red shield is not. Apparently, the red shield as a government organization. Now, it doesn't seem like they're supposed to be like a mix of like intelligence and oh,
overt approaches, but
right, but it doesn't seem like
so
the intelligence.
One of the new students, like one of the students, tries to make conversation with the new girl.
Sharon tries to make the conversation
with new girl, and Saya, in what has to be the fastest way to not make a friend ever. So Sharon's like, you know what? You look Japanese, so I'll address you like that. But you also could be, maybe you're American. So I'll also address you in English, which is a lot of effort to make for a stranger that you just met.
Now,
and Saya's response to this is, leave me alone.
She looks at her hard. Looks at her.
So how she looked at the salary man.
It said, "Leave me alone," in her deep, cold voice. Leave me alone. And Sharon just takes it in stride. She just a weirdo.
Doesn't slap the dog shit out of Saya. But you know what, Linda? Let's go.
She said weirdo. Come on, Linda, let's go. That's it. And we see Linda, who
looks like a crypt keeper in a schoolgirl uniform.
Linda's a little on the pale side. Little little bit.
anemic, apparently.
Yes, yes. So, and we get pretty much after Saya's attempts to go investigate matters after class and everything. She runs into the nurse again, and there's that exchange.
Yeah.
Once again, nurse trying to be nice, and Saya
Saya
has to.
having absolutely none of it.
No, no, no. Saya's just gonna walk off and Saya things. That's just
Right.
it. That
Saya doing Saya things.
is doing Saya things. We get to the party. Everyone's excited. They're getting prepped for it. Um, apparently,
Linda and Shirley apparently aren't feeling well. They're
Linda's
gonna.
not.
Linda's not feeling well. Linda looks like she hasn't felt well ever.
Yeah, Linda look like she
So
been
Shirley's like, you know what? Well, I'm gonna take you to the infirmary. I'm sure they have the cure for death in there. So they go to the infirmary and meet the nice nurse.
yes.
And for the first time since they've introduced Linda, she is actively paying attention to her surroundings, like
Yes.
with intent.
With intent, like you see like nurse is going to like trying to help her out, get medicine, so her back is to Linda.
Linda and Sharon.
So Linda rises out. She rises from the
The
bed, like
and
she sits up like the Undertaker, basically. Like
yeah, yeah,
she sits just like that.
that's not unnerving. And Linda is looking at the nurse the way you look at a well prepared steak, and that's when Saya shows up.
Aya just she opens the door. She doesn't open it gently. She just goes in with the quickness, and that door opening is quick.
Right.
Then she
Saya
comes in. She's
Saya jumps
on.
in. She's looking at Sharon and Linda and the nurse, and Saya does not. Hey, you should leave. Saya goes to Linda and Sharon and proceeds to do Saya things to them with her sword.
Aya turned that corner. This is the
Mm-hmm.
band was tuning up in the auditorium, and you get a nice sequence of action and slaughter to like 23 skidoo. so
Right.
so
So the nurse
USO
is understandably freaking the fuck out because
yeah.
the new girl came in and just cut Linda into cold cuts for no discernible reason.
I mean this wasn't a what you would see in other movies. This wasn't like a clean
Queen anime cut. No,
right.
Linda is in a ragged half on that bed
Right.
and cut Sharon pretty good too.
That caution. Now, in all fairness, when Saya was doing Saya things, she did push the nurse to the
Out of the way.
side, out of the way when she went for Sharon,
Right.
and caught Sharon slipping. She caught her slipping to the point that her blade broke.
Yeah.
Remember, her blade was dull going in, so already the writing here is on point as of
You pay attention to what's going on. So Sharon makes a break for it. Linda's a unsightly pile of monster meat,
slightly
which
indeed.
the nurse notices and goes, "Oh, Oh, okay. Yep, time to go home. But she doesn't
Right.
do that.
Now, now, mind you, that was a little after Saya decided to smack the sense back into the nurse, like, hey, forget
You
what
need
you
to
saw
get on
and
your
go.
stuff. Oh, but the nurse being a actual good person, like, hmm, should I really just go home and forget that there are actual monsters in the school? That seems irresponsible to not tell anybody about that.
But she's
I'm
also
gonna
going through
tell somebody about that.
right. Like she's going through that, but she's also going through some delirium too, a little bit. She's going through well,
Right.
no, not delirium, but she's going through like just
Do it. Like she's having, like,
no, no,
she's
this
been in a
cannot be.
very, very stressful situation.
Yeah, this is pure disbelief. And she, like you said, she sees all the monster meat, and yeah, it
Yeah.
starts. This is where the film really gets solid. That pacing picks up, and Sharon had already started showing form when
So
she bailed,
uh,
and now her
she has
giant
a
hands.
giant, yeah, yep, and giant man hands.
Yes. So she's already,
So starting to transform,
mhm.
and
And
she goes to the party.
does go to the party. We get a cutaway though with the drag queen,
Yes.
and drag queen is back to work at the bar here, and serving some customers, you know, and apparently decides to go in the back and takes a bottle of
Oh no, that was the owner. The drag queen was
I'm sorry, not the drag queen.
in the
Right, that's
bar.
the owner. The owner. That's right. The owner. Right. Sorry about that.
Mhm.
No, you're right. That was the owner. That's right, because they addressed her properly. Properly in this. That's the owner.
Yeah.
Yes. They
So she
address
goes back, gets out some of the good stuff,
good stuff.
and pours it out, and then
Maybe for the
lights
homies,
go on fire.
lights on fire, and we get that. You know, we as the owner's walking away, we get
She's
that transformation. Like the owner
so
becomes a that scary creature.
yep, she's a corruptor.
Right.
Shock, surprise.
Done
What
done.
had been eating the prostitutes? The owner.
There you go. So that's where it all ties in.
So she's heading to the school because apparently she can sense that Linda's dead and Sharon's on the run. So she's gonna go get her people. They gonna GTFO.
It's so everyone's moving here at this point. There's urgency from the from the creatures. There's urgency from
From
the
fire,
red
there's
shield.
agency from the nurse. There's everybody's trying to find everyone else to either flee and or kill them.
Right. And Saya commits a robbery here. Saya goes back
To
to
that
the
bar shop we saw earlier,
right. It proceeds to
and
take
pick that nice sword she saw in the window.
yes. Doesn't leave money. Doesn't
No,
just
no,
nothing.
besides a rude bitch.
She's a you say she's a rude bitch. She's a young lady of action. The action that needs to be
So
done here is
I'm not
urgent.
saying she had to write that man a 3 page, sorry note, but she could at least, hey, you can build this to the red shield. Sorry, I broke your window. Something, or that Jackie Jackson thing. I'll bring it right back.
Right. I mean, could have, but no, it was the '60s.
Right.
It's one of those things. We get to the dance. The
And
nurse is looking for the if you
principal,
say
someone
chiropterate, looking for the
corrupt.
creature.
When she
Sees it.
go, the nurse is looking for the principal. She's just trying to find somebody in authority that she can explain to that there be monsters at the school. And Saya is looking for Sharon, following the blood that is leaking out of Sharon's giant monster arm.
Oh, that's right. No, you're right. This is true. So we have two searches happening because the nurse has to find someone that will believe her. Aya is on a mission to
Yeah,
take these creatures out, and the nurse is just trying to help everybody. Now it's funny for all the stress she is going through, she still managed to keep cool in one of the
teachers tries to scare her at the Halloween party.
yes, this
This
Dracula
is Yep. And
kept her
instead of
cool.
kept it cool, but also got herself kidnapped
Yes,
by Sharon.
in stream of all the sequence of everyone dancing and the haze of everything happening, she does get kidnapped.
Because Sharon apparently was able to put on like a party banner, and no one noticed the 8 foot tall vampire bat monster at the party.
It was the best
As
costume, most
best
convincing,
costume.
best costume, very convincing. Like literally, the nurse is having a spot where she is just frozen in time, noticing it's Sharon. Now, Aya does not freeze and decides to draw, uh, tries to draw first blood um, again, but apparently that is not working with new sword. As that new
Oh,
sword.
remember the Sharon takes the nurse out. She walks her out.
Oh yeah, she does walk her. She does walk her out, but
Because
before
Saya
then,
attacks her when
right?
they're outside.
But she attacks her also inside too.
Yeah.
She went for her inside, but it did not. That attack did not work, and so she just slides her out. Literally, Sharon just takes Saya like a baseball and tosses her at like a low pitch baseball and just tosses her out, and she just slides out of the double doors. Then that's when the kidnapping happens. When poor nurse is abducted literally in front of everyone. And no one notices it because it's the 60s and everyone's dancing. Best costume.
Best
Costume.
costume.
Best costume. Saya proceeds to do Saya things again. She uses her newfound letter opener. That's about the equivalent to the sword. She uses the letter opener. It just goes in like a like pretty much a like a prison shank. Decides to stab. Decides to stab the creature. Stab Sharon to the back.
Right.
And this is where the fight outside gets interesting because it is it's a nice little encounter, and Saya's trying, and it's you've got some good suspense here. The tension here is great because of just the different cutaways of just madness here. You have that. You have some
What's
reason.
going on with David and Lewis and
Oh, yeah. Remember, David is up here firing off against our the store owner uh creature Cropterit, and mind you, we got the explanation that it seems that these things are pretty strong and bullets aren't really phasing
super
it.
effective. Is there?
Right.
So this,
So
while not explained in the anime itself, it is in the manga. So in order to kill a Cropter, you need to hit them and make them lose a lot of blood all at once. It seems odd that they didn't just give Saya like a shotgun,
give her a
but
shotgun,
no.
that'd be a whole different story. That'd be a whole different be a whole different dynamic to it.
Like it's not even that it needs to be Saya because you could have just had a squad of special forces dudes with shotguns and they probably would have taken care of Linda, Sharon, and the bar owner lady in a lazy afternoon.
Right. But I think, if anything, if I'm not mistaken, we do get a little more context to them actually in this feature. It's a little later on, but we're getting close to it as the nurses made a beeline, escape, and
Right, and
try to get help.
she runs into a big black soldier who we've nicknamed Moses.
We hear nickname Moses. I call him pre Carl Winslow. You say Moses.
Yes.
We all agree Moses by majority. Moses um, runs into her.
Uh, the nurses maybe having maybe the kids are playing a prank on her.
Right. They're setting off
And
firecrackers and all that. This is
right,
another part of the prank. Another prank.
right. She's like, you know what? I know that there's no monsters here, but you kind of cute, so I'm gonna humor you. Come on, let's go see these monsters you're talking about.
And
And as they're walking under a tree, Moses gets yoinked up by a horrible bat monster
right,
and disemboweled right
I
in
share.
front of the nurse.
Yeah, mind you, this Sharon grabbed him by the gut, like just straight, just hoisted him up above. And Moses was a big man, so I'm sure he was
Right. Very
very
heavy.
meaty, very heavy, very meaty. Should
Right.
that should have been the meal for the night, but
Really should have been. But Saya then stabbed her, murked her friend. She's not just going to leave after eating Moses. Oh, no.
no, no,
So now that the nurse has gotten Moses killed,
yes, that she meant to, but yes,
I'm not,
she,
I'm not going to
she
say she
didn't. She
didn't.
look. It's not like she went in going, "Hey, let me drag as many innocents into this."
Oh, well, she took Moses outside and got him killed. Moses was
He,
minding his business.
technically, he was already outside. He was already outside. He just happened to run into to Caroline.
Yeah,
Not his.
guess who Sharon wasn't looking for.
Yes, Saya with that letter opener was left of it and tossed it like literally perfect pitch, perfect range on that. She was across the base and hit right in the eye, across the field, right in the eye, and it says Sharon backing and
So
oh yeah, oh so Aya picks up the nurse and Moses' gun and they're off to the races. They are
right,
running. They are running. Tells her to run, and the nurse is getting it. She is running. She is keeping pace.
right,
And now, mind you, as we reach this particular point of the retro, we have to note the cast here
right.
in the stream of this because we've actually had quite a few people listed for this and some noted stars, some that are still active to this day, still doing things like Yoki Kuro played Saya. She is known for appearing in a few mainstream films like Memoirs of a Geisha, Rush Hour 3, amongst others, but is still a star in Japan. Still starring in like a lot of dramas and films. You have the sound of the creatures of the chiropterids, or call them. I think it's like a between. I've heard Chur, but I've also heard Kerr, so we'll just call him Kerr here. Um, actually, Frank Welker, the
Yeah,
voice of the Roars. So
yep.
there, some
The
amazing.
Corruptors are Megatron.
Right, the Chiropterids are Megatron. Got uh, 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 you know, uh, goodness, you've got Paul Carr, rest in peace, uh, actor of stage, screen, and television for years, going back to stuff like Gunsmoke. Um, so many others. And of course, one of his last roles was in Standalone Complex, was in Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, where he passed. So, very sound talent there. And the officer, the SP, the other special police outside of Moses, this poor guy here who tries to help Saya in Caroline is voiced by none other than yes, right, by Steve Bloom, by Spike Spiegel, by Wolverine.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or Orochimaru.
Orochimaru, yes, there's a who's who, and
We could do this all day.
could do this.
The special police goes, you know what? I see there's something going on, and I will get back up and help you. But Saya, mean bitch that she is, decides to cold cock Steve Blum. Then kick him in the face a couple times while he's down on the ground.
Right,
Not really for good measure, because I guess she just likes kicking people.
So Steve's a pretty big.
Going to come back and bite her later.
This will bite her later. First, Steve got hit with a hard body blow. It was first a body blow that took him down, and then that unnecessary necessary kick, like just right there. Very mean, very mean. But he's gonna call for help. He's trying to help him, but no.
So they go into the motor pool.
Right.
And as they're in the motor pool,
it gives her the gun.
Right, Saya gives the nurse the gun. And like, so that's not really going to stop one of them things, but you might want to shoot yourself if they start, if I don't succeed, because getting eaten is probably going to suck. So you might want to, take care of that before they start munching on you.
Caroline is terrified as
this goes
about. Oh yes, and this is where we get the explanation here of as Sai is looking around the motor pool for a weapon, as guns don't work, but this is where we get the explanation of like you have to kill them in one blow, and that's where she picks up the shovel off of this Jeep and decides to use that as her melee weapon for the evening.
Right. So in this very stressful situation, the nurse falls back on what most people do in times like that, their faith. This was a terrible idea because it pisses Saya off something fierce.
So Saya just rolls the minute Saya sees that cross, and it's a silver cross around Makiko's neck. That she just snatches that thing from her and tosses it to the ground. Tosses it. And the nurse goes right after it.
Right.
But the fact that Saya tossed it,
distracts her from Sharon leaping in through the skylight.
Right, and this is a great scene. Just oh my goodness, the door shuts, and they can't get out, and not get out of this.
They can't get out of the door. So the camera cuts to the outside, and apparently Sharon had taken Steve Blum's corpse and twisted it into the door handles so they couldn't open the door.
Like a chain, like literally a chain, like a human chain over the door.
Now, had Steve been conscious and in the motorcade with them, that wouldn't have been a thing that vampire could have done to lock them in there. But some mean dumb bitch kicked him in his face and knocked him out and left him out there with a hungry vampire who didn't even kill him to feed on him. Literally used him to lock Saya in that motor pool. So
Sure.
Sharon's like, "Well, I got you now, bitch," and leaves
Dives
him
on in.
to, right. Like,
Here's,
man, I know you don't have a sword, and guns don't work. And Saya does bust her in the chops with a shovel, which I'm sure she was very surprised about.
but that's only after the nurse comes in with the surprise assist.
Right.
As
So
guns don't work.
don't work on corruptors, but explosions do.
Yes, and there's plenty of gas. There's gas tanks in this motor pool.
So
So
the nurse blast that gas can next to Sharon, and much like Call of Duty, when you shoot a red can, it exploded and damn near killed her.
it threw her. It threw her across the motor pool, knocked her out. Knocked her out for
Right.
a little bit.
So now they realize, the motor pool is on fire, and we cannot get out.
And that's when we get, we get the owner or mother, corruptorate, that shows up, and David is there.
He's
And
trying his best to fight, the bartender corruptor lady. It is not really effective.
I is saying, "Hey, open the door," trying to stay in touch as the fire's intensifying. There's explosions happening here. It is a
Right.
it is survival horror action. Is best in here in this motor pool in in this particular sequence. It's great. As you said, Saya doing Saya things with the shovel.
Right.
It's a
So
fierce
how
fight.
do they get out? Well, the nurse is like, man, I'm not burning to death in this camp.
First, she was good. The nurse was fixing to all the madness, fixing to end it all. She would kill herself.
I'm not getting eaten. I'm not burning alive.
Because, well, mind you, because Saya told her, as Saya's struggling against the mother, Propterate, who made it inside, saying, tell her to run, get the car, run the doors down. A very action hero element.
So she hops in the Jeep and they bust through the door. Tearing through for Steve Blum. There's Steve Blum all over the sidewalk. It's just terrible.
Yeah, he's just scattered all across. Yeah, it's a hot mess there. Oh man,
Right.
Steve Bloom bits everywhere. Steve Bloom bits everywhere. And rather, Sharon, or I think it's Sharon at this point, because the mother is still on the rooftop part.
Yeah, trying to, yeah.
Yes, but that explosion did not help matters, and so I recovers. It's a fierce fight. David comes in with the assist, tosses new sword, and a clean swipe here, and we get a rain of blood, and Sharon is down. She is no more. She is dead.
She is the dead.
She is the dead. But Mama's still alive, and
Mama's like, you know what? I'm about to wash my hands of this whole situation. Fuck y'all, I'm out. Right. Fuck this shit, I'm out. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to get on the first thing smoking, and I'm getting out of here. So she's heading towards one of the B-52 bombers leaving the base.
Right.
That's when David and Saya give chase.
Leaving the nurse. Leaving the nurse.
They leave the nurse unconscious.
Right.
On the ground outside.
Yes. Now, of course, Lewis is around hovering. They gotta get to the woman saw all this stuff before the cops do. They gotta debrief. They gotta debrief her. And
So they are giving chase, and Saya manages to yeet her sword at Mother, taking her down. Plane takes off. Mom's laid out, and Saya comes to her. And you would think they'll pull out her sword and end this horrible monster's life. But she doesn't do that. She instead offers a look of sympathy and a bit of blood to this horrible monster that is dying. The one bit of compassion that Saya shows anything in this whole 45-minute movie.
so true. She actually smiled. She smiled here. Um, as you said, most emotion she has shown about this thing. Not even for the nurse who is barely conscious as the helicopter overhead closes in on her, and we fade to white, and we wake up here into a sequence where she's in a interrogation room.
Right.
It's some suits.
Government agents. Right. And they've basically wiped the scene. No one knows who David is. Apparently, Linda and Shirley just transferred, and the nurse is like, "It's a lot. I got a lot of questions," but she's kept her wits about her because these very official-looking people show her a drawn portrait of Saya and ask her, "Have you seen this person?" And apparently, the nurse ain't no dummy. And she's like, "No, I have no idea who that is."
Oh, hold on now. Now she sees this portrait, and it's a black and white, like this
Portrait from
photo.
the 1800s.
Yeah, 1892. And next to that year is rather not 1892, and the word vampire
Yeah.
is tagged
Right.
alongside that. As you said, our nurse, Miss Caroline, is no fool. She wants to live,
Right.
even for all of that she's been through. She wants to live.
Nope, I've never seen that person ever.
Oh, that the person I saw was black.
At
It
Had a
it
mohawk.
Mohawk. I think they spoke French.
Right.
That does not fit the description at all. So
You don't say. So, thus our movie ends with the entrance of America into Vietnam. This is important if you ever check out the rest of the Blood franchise.
and
So,
we yeah, and we fade to black. No, you're right. That's it.
right.
That's it. Because even though the nurse did go through her whole monologue of
Kind of wanted
hey,
to know what the deal was.
her PTSD kind of kicked in. And like you said, Vietnam started
Right.
at
That
the
will
end.
become important later in different parts of the franchise.
As you
So,
said,
Blood as a franchise essentially works like this. The movie is canon to all of them. Like the way they treated the events of the movie happen to each version of Saya that you see. And what happens later is different amongst all the various stories. So the next chronological iteration of the franchise that we get would be Blood Plus.
Yes.
And as you go through that story, you'll actually get to see what Saya got up to during Vietnam. And they make some small mentions of some of the vampire stuff in Blood Sea, but Blood Sea has its own
Own like real mythos to it, like because
right.
of it being a
A
more clamp project than anything, because it's C being blood, being clamp, have more of a hand in kind of crafting the specific mythology for that and lore. Like, well, not
They
lore, but the
also,
story.
what I thought was neat is Saya is progressively nicer and prettier in each installment.
Yes. Now to talk about Saya's looks in this film, the character designs done by Katsuya Terada, who is very known for doing a lot of video game stuff. Probably most known is the stuff for Tekken 5,
Yeah,
amongst a few others. But very noted for more like Western sort of look to the characters, like very easy notice for like the
yeah,
details of certain characters in this feature. Um, Inspired by uh, European comic books, American comic books like Mobius and a lot of like the those sort of noir crime stuff. You can see that design come out in his work, and
right.
it gives a unique look to Saya. I actually like Saya's look in Blood the Last Vampire. I don't mind it in the others, like Blood Sea is very pretty because it's clamp. It looks good.
Right.
And
He is
Blood
one of the
Plus
new
is
people.
I,
Blood Plus to me was the Saya is very pretty in Blood Plus, but he also goes through several design changes as that story goes along. Long
just,
hair, short hair.
yeah,
There's
she
a lot
did.
of different looks.
And
But it was also a much longer story. You spent a
and
lot more time with Saya than in any other iteration of the franchise in Blood Plus.
it's true. That's right, because that was a 52 episode series
Wow.
plus. Um, but each iteration of Blood has been very has been successful in its right. Like each one more progressively successful in spots.
Mm.
Be it with the merchandise, video games. Blood Sea has a
Movie.
stage play, which
Blood Plus has a live action film.
right, that's true because the Blood the Last Vampire live action movie, it says Blood Plus was more of a thing. So it's kind of interesting in that regard too, when you think about it. Everything has a beginning, and Blood the Last Vampire was the beginning of a lot of things for a lot of people. It was the beginning of, like you said, the DigiPaint, early
Yeah,
DigiPaint
yeah.
stuff, which caught the eye of a lot of people, including James Cameron, who is
Right.
a noted anime fan, and he talked about this film in a very positive light. Um,
It's also how we got the animated sequence for Kill Bill.
that's right, because the same team returns for the origin of Oren
Yep.
short in Kill Bill Volume One. So very, very noted, very touted stuff. Very, I think, an important part of anime history. In
Well, I
that
guess
regard,
I think the way we described it is, so I would never tell you that Blood, the Last Vampire, is essential watching as an anime fan. But if you are of a scholarly bent, I would say, like an anime historian, then you probably should check it out because a lot of people got their start working on this project
Right, especially if I'm not mistaken, that would be Ari Furuta, who would end up becoming, no, pardon me, Maki. Apologize. Maki uh, Rishima Furuta worked on this as a coordinator, overseas coordinator, and she would end up ascending great heights and becoming Production IG USA's president for time. But she started as a coordinator. So, just looking at even just her career, Maki Terishima Furutas had a long career, and it's started with this. Started with this, and
So
just
it is also, I would say, the Blood franchise has become a part of the anime vampire lexicon alongside of stuff like Hellsing and now Shiki. Basically, because we got this, you got things like Seraph of the End, although that owes a lot of its existence to Attack on Titan.
right. This is true. This is true. There's a lot to be said there in its own right, but there's a few assistants on this title that would go on to do some things. Particularly one of the assistants of that would go on to help in a greater manner. I believe that was Tetsuya Nishio would go on to be part of the character design team. He actually helped with the character designs for Naruto, and looking at the longevity of that.
Yeah,
So, a very important title. The music was great here. Music
it's
was
very
very
atmospheric.
important. Yes, Yoshihiro Iki did a terrific job here. I am far. Um, very impressive stuff. This now your take of it is if you're a scholarly type, I feel that any horror fan um, that likes the atmospheric stuff
Yeah, I think
can
you.
get yeah,
I don't know. To me, it's this is the first time you see the Karathans. They're very shocking, especially for the time because we hadn't really had vampires like that in anime, at least.
yeah, we hadn't. This is true. This is true. Not quite as grisly looking as they were at that time. And even rewatching it, I fell back. I could see why I fell really in love with it the first time watching it again after so many years. Like, wow, know, it really gets you in here. Of course, it's not without its flaws. If you know us, we've talked about how you know this was a 45-minute run, and in that 45 minutes, we got a lot of atmosphere. We've got action.
But not a lot about who Saya was as a character. Like you know almost nothing about her. Like we don't know why she's a mean, taciturn bitch. And some backstory probably would have helped smooth out her rough edges, which is why she's so much more likable in the other iterations of the franchise because we get to know her as a person.
This is
Even
true.
though now that I think about it, the second half of Blood Plus essentially turns her into the movie version of Saya. So, hmm,
Ties back, ties
yeah,
back in a way.
I, but I
It,
just
it
thought about like, yeah, personality wise, she's a lot like how she is in the movie.
hmm, hmm. It's interesting. Look at it in that form. Um, just so many people that have touched this character and have a part of this character's element. Like goodness, even it's looking, as we were getting this prepped, just the fact, even the, know, this Kazuchika Kize is on this project, and look what he's done since. He's doing Made in Abyss.
Yeah.
I mean, long career to go from handling something as an animation director for this to moving on to doing character designs for Made in Abyss. That's he is prime. Looking at you how far traveled and soared. But this was the beginning for some people. Some it was a middle of the road title that kind of segued people to the next thing. You look at the longevity. A lot of those who worked on Blood really landed somewhere. Blood as a franchise, as you said, Blood, this little movie ended up becoming a franchise, and early one of its early collaborators, the one that of the half of that team in that submission, uh, Nichi Fujisaku has been there the whole time for that franchise. For as a screenwriter and novelist, has helped with Blood across the board from the beginning up, involved with all the stuff, the Blood, the Blood Plus, the Blood C, and imagine if Blood is to ever come back again, Junichi will be part of that too. So it's beautiful to see something like this. And so right now with that, as we bring our retro to a close, for our end of it, we were fortunate to import this, have this. Like, where can it's not this Blood the Last Vampire isn't streaming anywhere
Yeah.
at this point. It's not on Netflix. It's not on HBO Max or any of the streaming services. The only way people can really experience it is only really the the way to do it, or I'll say best way to do it, is through porting the Blu-ray. There's other ways malware is real and other stuff too. Um, so definitely support the title. It's an Aniplex. The thing is, it's an Aniplex title. Aniplex released the latest Blu-ray. With that, I guess we will say that this is a perfect Halloween movie.
Pretty much. Although, do we have other Halloween recommendations? Anything you would
Oh,
suggest folks for Halloween?
um, I think I have a few. I would also recommend uh, Blood Rain: Curse of the Yoma.
Yes.
That one's quite good. Um, Another I would recommend would be um, now it's not a it can be a scary movie in its own right, but overall it's enjoyable feel in its own regard, and that's Ninja Scroll.
Right.
Ninja Scroll,
Now,
yeah.
I will see your Ninja Scroll and raise you a, let's say we do, instead of Ninja Scroll, how about Demon City Shinjuku?
Ooh, that's good. Well, I mean, if you're gonna say that, then that automatically brings Wicked City into the conversation.
Right. So I was thinking Wicked City, but by the protagonists in Wicked City are never, oh my God, I'm in danger. I'm kind of out of my depth. Dude is he's and I trained to fight these things, and I got this giant ridiculous gun. But Wicked City, it's literally oh wow, I suddenly had psychic powers, and then there's monsters everywhere. What do you do?
What do you do? And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, you have some of your recommends on hand, courtesy of the Anime Rest Stop. Um, Certainly join us across the board, social media wise, for these discussions on this and a lot more. We do a lot more on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, um, goodness, YouTube. Definitely look us up. Not hard to find. Um, Anything, definitely wish you safe Halloween season. And if anything, tune in next time when ARS 40, well, ARS Rewind looks back on a couple other things. There's a few titles we have in the pressure cooker, and I think we'll have a couple surprises that are very noted for you. So you want to keep around for that. But in the meantime, where can people find you when you're not posting the Facebook ad?
I am mostly on the Facebook. Eventually, I'm going to break down and get a Twitter. I'm just lazy and old and crotchety and don't ever really want to be bothered with the things that I see going on Twitter.
Well, you just described a lot of us. But you're
I know I'm
forever young.
eventually. Just don't really want to be bothered with it.
Aw, but you're forever young, so it'll all uh, uh, it'll all balance out for sure in the wash. But till then, folks, have yourself a wonderful Halloween season, Halloween weekend, and we will see you again soon.
Alrighty, folks. Take it easy.